Hello, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the Oracle Code edition of Learning Python for PLSQL developers. My name is Arup Nanda, and I have been an Oracle S Director for quite some time. I have my own database analytics company and high-end consulting company called Proligence. In today's session, I will talk about how to learn Python from in a very easy and quick way for PLSQL developers. But before we go further, let's just start with a few things. I think it's totally redundant slides, but I still have to go through them. Safe harbor statement. That means that you do not trust what I say. You have to test it before I do anything else. The agenda for Oracle Code event in San Francisco and Austin, results and learning, etc. Again, this is probably not relevant to today's discussion, but I certainly have to show you this. And if you happen to be in San Francisco Oracle Code event, there is a $300 credit sign-ups. So you should take advantage of that for Oracle Cloud, and it's certainly worth it. There'll be coffee machines, CNC cutters, 3D printer, etc. for you to try out a few things, including Internet of Things workshop, hands-on lab. So it's a very great way to spend a day if you are interested in this one. So without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. First of all, why on earth would you be interested to learn Python? So if you have any doubt in mind, I hope this is going to clear it up. Number one is that Python is the language of big data. If you have to write MapReduce code, and if you want to look up what MapReduce is, just do a search on that. You'll be able to find out a lot of information on MapReduce. If you have to write MapReduce code, you have to use maybe a language like Java, but it's also possible to write a language like Python, and which will be input to Spark, and then that can do the processing as well. If you are not interested in the big data ingestion process, but more interested in the output, which is like reporting or analysis of the big data systems, or you're creating a machine learning algorithm, etc., well, Python has plenty of packages available. I would say plenty of packages are available written in Python, which you can use to create your own application. Now, that's a very useful feature. You don't have to rewrite the entire wheel all the time. You can have reusable components already available, and most of them actually open source. You can actually use them to your own benefit and continue processing. And the third one is probably the most beneficial of all, is that it's a general purpose language. It's not a very strict statistical language, for example, R, etc. It's a very general purpose language. It has the same if, then, else conditions, loops, etc. All those things which are typically found in a general purpose language. It's a native language of Raspberry Pi device if you're ever interested in doing some programming for Raspberry Pi. But if you're not, if you, let's say, want to write some database tools, some kind of a database monitoring tool or some database tool outside of database itself, which is something you probably cannot do in PLSQL, nothing is better than Python. You can actually write that as well. Oracle even has a few packages that allows Python to interact with Oracle directly. It has even a graphical interface if you want to create some graphical applications. You can even create a website with Python. So there are plenty of reasons why Python is important for you to learn and one thing. But the next question is that how much effort you have to put to learn Python? Well, first of all, it's a general purpose language. It's not a very specific, tied to a specific job description role. So as a result of that, it's easy to learn, easy to understand. It is a procedural, it's a simple syntax. And syntactically, it is actually close to PLSQL. For example, it has things like if, then, else condition, while loops, for loops, etc. is a break condition to break from the loops, exception logic, etc. I'm saying similar, but not exactly the same. Of course not. So that brings to the next one, is that I'm assuming you already know PLSQL very well. So you're not unfamiliar with the whole concept of the programming, etc. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to explain what are the syntactically close things to PLSQL in Python, and also which things are different. Hopefully by doing so, you can learn that language very quickly and very fast instead of going through a whole rigmarole of going through the language from scratch. I have a whole series of 5 videos on this topic. You can see the whole video series at this URL, http://bit.ly/python for PLSQL. Easy to remember. Remember bit.ly, Python for PLSQL, and you can get all the series. So let's just very quickly go through some of the few things, and I'm going to show you one particular one, which is the collections in Python afterwards. Let's start. First one. What is the first thing you should do? Well, install Python. Did I mention that Python is free? Well, if I didn't, then I must have missed it somehow. It is actually completely free. You can download Python from python.org. Check for your own OS and then install that. Python has two installations. One is the command prompt and its own GUI interface called idle. So it has two primary interfaces. So in this example, let's see what I have done so far and jump onto that one. I already downloaded and already installed everything. So let me just go back to show you in this command prompt. I'm assuming assume that I've already put the path variable. I put the Python where I installed it, and I simply type Python. This is the most important thing. Look at that angle, 3 angle brackets. That is called a Python prompt. That's a typical thing. Imagine SQL plus prompt. So this is a Python prompt, something like that. So here you put a Python prompt. So the first thing you should want to do is probably, let's say I want to display hello world like you typically do when you learn a new language. In Python, I would do print. That's a function. Hello. Sorry. Hello world. Hello world. That's it. Print function. So this is a print function that just want to display, which is similar to dbms output put line in PLSQL. Before I start anything, I generally want to find out a few things. Number one is that how do I put a comment? In Python, the comment is simply this. This is a comment. There you go. I said at this point saying this is a comment. It's going to ignore the comment. Second thing I always find out is that how do I get a help on something? In Python, I just do a help. Let's say I want to find out the help on print. There you go. Help print. This will show me all the help on print conditions. If I just see only help, it's going to show me a help prompt. At this point, I can type what print what topic I want help on. So let's say I want topic on print. That's what basically is a help command. Let me quit from help by going to Python prompt. This is the Python command line interpreter. There's also another kind of thing, kind of the Python interface to Python called idle. I mentioned that to you. It gets installed when you install the Python installation file. This is how the Python idle looks like. I invoke idle by going here. I said idle. See the idle Python 3.6.4 64-bit desktop app. So that's what I brought it up when it comes here. In this, the big difference is that it's the same thing. I have the same 3 angle brackets Python prompt I just saw before. The only difference is that you can see when I type, it makes the color coding of the syntax, which might be helpful for some people. I don't find it very helpful. I generally do not do this. But one of the quick things is that look at what I do. When I do type print, when I put the parenthesis, idle automatically prompts me to all the possible arguments of the print functions, which might be very useful for some people just to remember that. So again, it's up to you. I generally don't use this. I am going to use this Python command line interpreter here. Okay, so far so good. Let's say the first one. I want to define a variable. Typically in PLSQL, when you define a variable, first you declare a variable with a declare section, say declare v1 number. Then you have a begin section. Within that, you have say v1 assigned a value. Let's say 2. In Python, there is no such thing called declaring a variable. A variable is created when you assign a value to it. Suppose I put this one, v1 equal to, by the way, this is the assignment operator in Python, equal to sign. Remember, in PLSQL, it is colon equal to. Python, it is simply equal to. So v1 equal to 2. There you go. That's it. At that time, the variable v1 is created. So if I want to type what v1 is, I can do this. v1 equal, and it shows back the value of v1. See that? I don't have to even put a print statement there. I can just put v1, 2. That's it. What if I have a type v2 here? It says no. Because remember, a variable is created when a value is assigned. I didn't assign anything to v2 yet. So how can I just, the v2 is not created. As a result of that, I can't reference it. I can certainly do this. v2 equal to v1 plus 2. Well, at that time, v2 is created. Now, if I do a v2, yep, there I got v2. So that's how the important thing about variables. What kind of variables can I create? There are several things I just mentioned here, 1, 2. Those are called integers. I can define, say, v3, another variable, call it, say, 10.0. When I put 10.0, it creates a float variable here. I can also create a Boolean variable. So let's say call v1 equal to true. So v4 equal to true. See that big difference here? True, that is uppercase T and lowercase RUE. Python is case sensitive, unlike PLSQL, which is not case sensitive at all. So for example, v4 is a variable here. If I put v4, it's going to say true. v4 uppercase will get an error because we do not have a variable called v4 yet. So there's a big difference in, remember the case sensitivity in Python, unlike PLSQL. All right. So one thing is that you can see a v4 is true. That's a Boolean variable. But it is not fixed to a Boolean variable. For example, I can say v4 equal to 10. That's it. At that time, v4 becomes an integer variable. That's why Python is called a loosely cast or loosely typed language. The variables are not typed specifically or formally. They simply keep on changing. Generally, variables in Python are called objects. So an object is simply takes the data type of whatever is assigned to it, and that's it. There is no specific declaration of an object with a specific type. Whatever is assigned at runtime, that's the data type it takes, which is very important to remember. Now I'm confused. I got v4 equal to true earlier. That time was a Boolean variable, but now I assigned 10 to v4, and now it becomes integer variable. If I have to know at some point in my program what kind of data type this variable is, how do I know that? In PLSQL, that's not a problem because I must have defined the variable earlier in the declare section, so I know exactly what data type it is. In case of Python, I don't have a declare section. I don't declare a variable. That's why I won't know. How do I know this? It's a very simple thing. You simply say type the function type v4 class int. That shows you an integer because we just what if we assign v4 equal to true? If I do the same thing here, class type equal to v4, now it's called boolean. So type will tell you what variable it is, what kind of data type it is. So that's the talk about variables. Let's jump into something that you'll know about some of the variables, particularly for collections, which will be slightly afterwards. But before we do that, let's jump into something more than that, which is how do I do conditions like if conditions, etc. All right, in PLSQL, it's a if some expression, then begin. You can if expression, then bunch of statements which will be executed as a part of the if statement, and if, and that will mark the end of the statements to be executed. In case of Python, there is no end if or there is no then condition. So how does it know where to start and where to end? First of all, this is syntax is. So let's say if v1 equal to, by the way, that's an equality operator, is equal to 2. Instead of then we put a colon that marks the end of the if expression or the condition that is being evaluated under the if condition. Then we have to say execute all these operations, all the statements. But how does it know where to stop execution in the if block? In case of PLSQL, end if would have solved the problem. In case of this, since there is no end if, how does Python know? You have to put an indentation. So you have to put indentation here. Let's say print v2 is 2, something like that. So let's see. There you go, v2 equal to 2. So this is how the indentation helps in telling Python where to stop the execution of the if conditions. So let's say else condition. Suppose we do this same thing here. If v2 equal to 2, we print v2 equal to 2. Else, again another colon, we can say print v2 is not 2. Very simple thing. v2 is 2. Now let's try v2 equal to say 3. So if you execute the same code again, v2 equal to 2. Well, v2 equal to 2. What is v2 again? v2 equal to 3. What did it say v2 equal to 2? Well, let's see. So let's say if v2 equal to 2, print v2 equal to 2, else v2 is not 2. Whoa, this is weird. This is something I got to figure out what's going on here. Okay, so next we go to if condition, looping, and probably a very important thing, looping. In case of PLSQL, we have very simple looping condition for I in 1.10 loop, and at the end you say end loop. In case of Python, it's the same thing for, but what you see in PLSQL, which is for I in 1.10, say 10, suppose, loop. This is the PLSQL condition, of course, not the Python condition. For I in 1.10 loop, this one in 1.10, that is up to 1 to 10. In case of Python, is called a range function. So range. So range 10 will show you range 0 to 10. So what we do in this case is for I in range 10 colon. Colon ends, which is the marking from this point onwards, execute for the for loop. So once again, which statements are part of the for loop? Again, indentation comes into picture. So we have to indent it. Print I. That's a variable. Let's see. It prints from 0 to 9. It didn't print from 1 to 10. It printed from 0 to 9, which is a very important characteristic. You have to understand that in Python, range 10 means up to, but not including 10. And starting with 0, because 0 is the counter start from many things in Python, including arrays and indexes and anything, which is different from PLSQL. PLSQL starts with 1 all the time. So if we want from say up to 10, including 10, then you have to put range 11. That would have said, that would have told it. So for I in range 10, I just print I. The other loop is called while loop. So you can say while, say I less than 11, loop. There's no word called loop, so you put colon to mark the end of the condition, and say an indentation to make sure that it's a part of the while loop. So print I is less than 11, and then it should also be part of the while loop. I equal to I plus 1, which is very similar to what you also do in PLSQL. Now, as you can see here, this is pi equal to 1. And so what happened here is that I already assigned I before, in my previous one, and at this time the I value was, or to start with, was 9. As a result of that, it didn't take this effect. So what I'm going to do is that I equal to 0, to reset it, and I'm going to do this while loop one more time. There you go. I is equal to less than 11. 11, it did it few times, and I was less than 11. When it becomes 11, at that time the loop just broke and it exited from the loop. Talking about breaking, we can also do a break statement here as well. So you can see here for I, sorry, where is my loop? For I in range 1 to 10, I say 0 to 9, which is 10. If I equal to, say, 5, break, which is very similar to the break condition in PLSQL. Pretty simple thing. So I equal to, if I equal to 5, it just break. In this case, it's broke, but we didn't actually print anything yet. So I'm going to do this one more time. So I'm going to say, I just print I, so that way we know we are doing something here. Then I'm going to say if I equal to 5, break. Okay, see that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and at that time it broke and it did not execute the rest of the for statement. So this is what you see in the break condition. So these are the few things I just mentioned to you about for loop and while loop, etc. You can see that thing. But since Python is a data-oriented language, you probably are more interested in doing a lot of data manipulation. And that's why collections and arrays are probably more important, because you'll be probably importing a lot of data from somewhere into Python to do this analysis. So it's very important to do collections and lists and tuples and arrays, etc. in Python. And that's the topic of the next video. So hang on tight until we go to the next one.
Now let's run this program in the PLSQL program and see how it actually works. PL6, sorry, PL6. All right. So you can see here, first it prints out all the weekdays, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. Then the work week, Monday, Tuesday, etc. First half is this, second half is this, middle week is this. When I do a union, you can see Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Let me see what the union is. You can see the difference how that union is, how the union is done. So here's the union. So first half, multiset, union, second half. There is no intersection between the first half and the second half. That's why it gave you everything. But in the second one, we did a union of all three, which is first half, middle, and second half. There are overlaps in between all the three sets. When we do this, look at what happens. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Tuesday, one more time, Wednesday and Thursday. It does. Union of three is like union all in Oracle. It doesn't do a distinct only. If you want only distinct, you can do something called union distinct. You can see there multi-set union distinct, the second half, and the anomaly distinct of third, middle week, etc. That gives you the distinct values. Let's see how we can do all these things in Python. In Python, actually, it's really simple. We'll do this way. Here is how it is. First week, weekdays is Sunday to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. Here is Monday, Tuesday, etc. First half is this, second half is this, middle week is this, and all that thing. Here is one thing I want to show you, that this one is in a curly brace. If you remember from our first half, when a curly brace is used, either use it for dictionary or use it for set operation. There is a difference in set operation. And this is how I do it. First half, union, second half, you simply use this operator, union operator, which is the pipe operator. You can also use the union function to put the first half to second half. Let's see how that actually works. Python thing here. All right, let me go here, Python. Six.txt. Here is the first one. I do union One more time, let me show you the exact value. You can see that. So print first half union operator second half, or first half dot union operator second half. Both of the time we get this, which is a very, very important thing to do, is that you can do union in both ways, pipe character or dot union. You can do these things in many ways as well. So let's see some few things, and I can show that instead of writing a program, I can show that in the Python command prompt. Let's the Python command prompt. First, let me define all these variables. I'm just going to copy and paste to save me some typing. There you go. So let's just make sure that we have all the variables here. Yep, work week is this: Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So 5 days is just not done properly, but it's certainly there. Work week, and then work week, and work week, then weekdays, weekdays. Weekdays is this: Tuesday, Sunday, all those things. We got 7 days in addition to everything else. Then the first half, I defined Tuesdays, Monday, and Sunday. Second half is this, and middle week is this. This is exactly how I think. So we just saw one example of first half union second half. We got this thing. So this is the union of two. We can also do something called, let's say we see all three of them. Let's see what happens. Middle week. You see there's a big difference between PLSQL and here. When I did union of all the three, the overlaps did not appear again. Remember, first half is Tuesday, Monday, and Sunday. I know that from here, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday. Second half is here, Thursday, Wednesday, Saturday, so there is no overlap. But the middle week is Thursday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, so there's overlap from both sides. So, but Python, if I union all three, it didn't do that. So it's behaved almost like the PLSQL's union distinct as opposed to the simple union. That's a big difference. Let's see some more things. One is called middle week, and it's called intersection. The intersection is this operator. So let's say intersection, middle week, and this gives you Tuesday. Tuesday is overlapping between the two of them. Middle half and second half to Thursday and Wednesday. It's the intersection of both of them. Yeah, of course, just like the first one, you can also put this way: first half dot intersection within parenthesis middle week. You can do that as well. This is the same thing as the intersection operator. Because this is a set, you can also subtract as well. So let's say we subtract it by first half minus middle week. When you do that, it takes away what's in the middle week and leaves what's in the first half, only those portions, which is Sunday and Monday, which is exactly what you wanted. Or it's called difference functionality. You can also use another function called difference to do the same thing. Difference as well. It's the exact same thing. If you want to have a symmetric difference, which is there in which is present in either set 1 or set 2, but not in both. So in that case, let's say middle week, that's this operator, the caret operator. Where is my caret operator? There you go, 6, which you can see here, which is either in the first half or in the middle week half a set, but not in both of them, not intersection. So basically this is first half union middle week minus intersection of both of them. So that kind of gives you the same thing. So like first half, middle week, and then minus first half and intersection of middle week. Same thing, something. So this is just a varieties of operators for you to do that. Now, I just showed you before is because it's a set, you can also find out if first half is greater than middle week. Is it greater than equal to middle week? No, it's not. Is weekdays greater than middle week. Of course, it is greater than equal to middle week, etc. So this is something you can do it. Um, Greater than equal to, there's a difference between greater than equal to and simply greater than. Simply greater than operator is actually called proper superset. That means S1 is actually more greater than S2 and S1 is not equal to S2. That's the thing. So it is true. But if we do, let's say weekdays is greater than equal to middle week, and sorry, weekdays, what do you think will happen? It will be true because weekdays is greater than or equal to weekdays, same thing. But if I want to do this, it will be false because it's not a proper superset. It's not a superset of weekdays. So that you can see that the difference of this one. Similarly, a subset is just opposite of this one. Is a proper subset of this? No. Is middle week a proper subset? Of course it is a proper subset. So we got that as well. So if you want to find out if they're exactly same, you just saw that before, which is equal to operator. We saw that as well. And middle week is equal to weekdays? No, it's not. But let's say we assign another variable here, middle week, called mid week, and we assign it here middle week. I'm sorry, not equal to by fault. Middle week is assignment operator. At this point, middle week and midweek are the same variables, but are the same. We do this, yeah, it is true. So you can see that I can see the set operation as well. So this is how we can do a lot of things in Python in set operations and using collections. As you saw in this case, Python, collections are much more powerful compared to PLSQL. Not only you don't have to define them, you can create and simple operators that will make you very, very useful to the things like set operations and collection, which makes Python a very good data manipulation language. All right. One thing we do see here, last one we saw two things: associative array and the nested tables. The third one in PLSQL is called a vary, V-A-R-A, or variable array. So just like PLSQL tables, these are ordered, so there is no index, so there's just one value. But the difference is that the maximum number of elements is fixed at the declared time. So for example, this is an example. It says here type. So there's a pointer. So type ty weekdays list that's a type is a var array 7. 7 is the maximum amount of elements I can define in this. I can extend it afterwards, but I have to fix it when the time of declaration of elements and of varchar 3. And the way I address it is using the same thing as I use nested tables, which is the PLS integer index to go to a specific one. I haven't seen much use of V arrays in the real life, and Python doesn't have an equivalent of that. But if you think about Python list and tuple, they're exactly like var array. The only difference is that Python doesn't force you to restrict the number of elements at the design time, runtime, because first of all, there is no declared time to begin with. You just simply assign the value. So there is nothing called defining the maximum amount of elements at the declared time. So that's not even important. So Python naturally doesn't have it. Just for the sake of completeness, let's just see how that actually looks like. So you can just see the difference. Let me just see Python here. PLSQL 7. And this is var array. You can see that type array. There's weekdays, number list, weekdays. I define it here: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. Count, and I use the word count to show how many things are there. Well, in this case, I know it's 7, but it doesn't have to be 7. This is the maximum number of elements. I may have less than 7 over here, and this is how I do it. So you can see here, this is very, very close to nested loops. Nothing much difference here, and we saw that earlier in how we saw in Python using the other commands like this, which is this one. So weekdays, Sunday, Monday, etc. We can do that. Here I use the word set. I can use a list. Remember, how do I do a list? So instead of doing this, let's say, just like I have here, v weekdays here, If I want to use the exact same variable name in Python, I will simply use v weekdays equal to, remember how do I do a list? By square brackets. And I put here Sunday, Monday, and all the thing. I'm just going to copy it here so to save myself some time. And actually, it's going to error out for a reason because I have two single quotes. I want to remove it. There you go, v weekdays. So if we have the v weekdays as opposed to weekdays, you can see here, weekdays here, I have a curly brace, which is a set, as opposed to list, which is not a set, which is a list operation. And how do I get these things? Very, very simple thing. How do I get all the variables here? Well, first I can simply put v week underscore days. I can get this one. But if I want to do something like what I've done here, like for example, I'm getting out each element and then printing out each element one by one. If I want to do that, then here in Python, I will simply do this for I in, just like this. Remember, I have to do one dot dot, the end, how many elements I have here. But of course, I don't have a one dot dot as notation in Python. In Python, I have another function called range function. Remember, in range, I have to go from 0, which is the beginning of the array, to the end of the array, to the count. So I don't know the count yet because this is something dynamically created. So to do the count, I have to use this function called len. Within parenthesis, v underscore week underscore days, and I do a semicolon, colon to mark the end of if, and then print. I have to do an indentation because that's the mark of the if block. I, comma, v week days within square brackets, I, end bracket. That's it. And then nothing else after that. I want to do it. It just prints out everything. This is how I make the difference between the two. Few things I have to say that 0 and it starts with 0 and ends with 6, and that's why I gave here a range length v weeks. By the way, if I do length v weeks, what do I get? I should get, let's see, I should get 7. Why? Because I have 7 elements in this array. That's why I got 7. So in that case, is it 0 dot dot 7? Yes, it is 0 dot dot 7. But the difference is that the last in the range in Python, the highest high number which you have in the range, it is never executed. It never reaches that. It's up to that, but not including that. So if it is range 7, it means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not 7. So that's why I could go up to 7. Few things you might be wondering at this point is that, okay, let's just say this is v weekdays. Let me define another variable called, let's say, v weekdays, let's say v weekends. And in that weekends, I'm just going to remove everything except the weekends. All right, this is the thing. Now I have two variables, weekdays, this, and v weekends. Remember I did the set operation before? So let me see what happens in this set operation over here if I do this. So is v weekdays a superset of v weekends? And the weekends is false. The set operation does work. What about union operation? Intersect operation. You can see that here this is not supported. This intersection operation, union operation, etc. is not supported for list. This is something is only your set operation. So put that in mind, that this set operation over here, which is done by a set is defined by curly braces and not by square brackets as we saw here. So that's the difference between set operations, sets and lists in Python. Okay, so that's kind of concludes our definition of the different collection types in PLSQL and how they relate to in Python. Let's go through a quick summary to find out what we understood is correct, and in very quick summary. Here is the first one, nested tables in PLSQL You define the nested table using this type. Weekdays is a table of varchar 3. It's the simplest collection, just one element in each one of them, and you simply address them by using this position, which is 0, I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. You go to the position and you get that out of here. Very simple thing. In Python, the equivalent one is, there are three equivalent, the three types of thing, and it's called list. You can do this way. Tuple, you can do this way. Only difference is that in tuple you cannot change anything after you define it. List you can of course change it, and this is how you reference a value there using the I starts with 0 and goes up 2 on the end last one. So you can instead of PLSQL, which is from 1 and goes up. In there is no equivalent of set in PLSQL. In PLSQL is just the same, collection is collection. This is a PLSQL table, nothing, I mean a nested table, nothing different. The second one is called Associative Array, which is also called PLSQL table, and this is how you define it. Instead of saying in a position of the element in the array determines the value, instead of that you actually have a named index in this case. So for example, let's say I want to define a very simple array, the abbreviation of the days and the full description of the days, sun for Sunday, Fry for Friday, etc. If I want to do them this way and to display them, you can do this way. So here you can see weekdays, sun, this is the key and this is the value, if you will. Actually in PLSQL this is called index, this is the value. In case of Python, you do the curly braces, you do the key colon value comma key colon value comma etc. and you define it. That simply defines a collection variable, and there is no limit to how much you do it after. You can keep on extending it. You can keep on adding to that. You can change a specific one, etc. And it is very, very useful for defining something that, let's say, books and authors we saw before, an example of that. That's something you would get, I think, in collection variables by using. Think of this as a table in Oracle. So this is a table is just two columns, the primary key column and some kind of description column, for example. The primary key will be key and the value will be the description column. That's it. And the table simply keeps on growing. This is how you do in Python. Okay, so this is about summary. Let's to make sure that you understood everything correctly, we just have a quiz, just like anything else. So please, after thing, I will pause after each question. I ask you to pause it, get the answer, because the answer will be displayed right after that. First question, is this following valid? You can see here is this is a list because it's a square brackets on both sides. If it is not valid, tell me why it's not valid. Pause the screen, and when you're ready to see the answer, unpause it. It is valid. Remember, in Python, lists are merely list of variables. There is no restriction as to they have to be the same data type, unlike in PLSQL. So here we have 100, 200, 300, which numbers, and then it's a characters, etc., which is perfectly fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this one. Is this valid? This is an interesting thing. It's not even data type. It's actually different things. I put it together, like different types of parentheses, etc. No, it's completely valid. The last two elements are merely an empty tuple. So this one is a tuple. This is a list. Remember, tuple is nothing but a list which is read-only. You cannot change it. And list is nothing but a bunch of list of things. It is perfectly okay to have a null list and a null tuple, and which is part of a my list. Remember, in collections in Python, don't have to have the same data type. So you can have this thing. In fact, you can even write this way, because you can write even a list within a list. We can certainly put it as well. So you can have nested lists and all the thing, which is perfectly fine. Question 3. This couldn't be valid. There got to be something wrong with this one. Particularly, look at this one. None. I don't have any single quotes around it. Will this cause a syntax error? And if so, at what point? Pause the question, pause the screen, and pause when you're ready to see the answer. It is perfectly valid. None is similar to null in PLSQL in Python. It just simply means that it's a placeholder. If you print my list 4, you will not see any output for that particular one. which is important. None is actually a keyword, which is very similar to null. What point this will throw a syntax error in this thing? Pause the screen and unpause when you're ready to see the answer. Nowhere. This is a perfectly valid syntax. The trailing comma will simply be ignored. It's actually the trailing comma has another usage in Python. You'll see actually afterwards. But the trailing comma will simply be ignored. It's not wrong. So it's completely valid syntax, which is not the same thing in PLSQL, because this trailing comma will not be ignored. It has to be either removed or somehow rewritten. Okay, here is another interesting twist. I put a square brackets on the left side and the parenthesis on the right side. Will this work? Pause the screen and unpause when you're ready for the answer. No, this is not actually a valid syntax. You might have seeing all the square brackets and parentheses, or this kind of a flexible language. You can do anything you want. Not really. You cannot do this one. The left side square brackets means is a list, but it has to end the square bracket to make it a list. You didn't. You may put a parenthesis, which is the ending for a tuple. So you can't do that. You can't mix the two parentheses or two brackets. You got to be of the same type. Either it is a list or a tuple, not both at the same time. Question 6. Tell me what will be the result or the output when you enter all these commands one by one. Pause the screen, and when ready for the answer, unpause. It will fail. So what happens here is, because I have put parenthesis, which makes it a tuple. Remember, tuple is nothing but a list, but a read-only list. When I do append, a tuple does not allow alterations. Remember, it's a read-only. As a result, this will fail. At this point, it will fail, so my list will simply show what is already there: 10, 100, 200, 300, etc. So it's not going to be any use. This is a syntax error will be thrown at line number 2. So if you wanted to make it an appendable or modifiable collection, you have to make it a list by using square brackets. Question 7. What will be the output of the following if you put it one by one? See that very carefully. My list has 2 5s. Okay, pause the screen and unpause when you're ready for the answer. If you have answered 7, you would be wrong. Yes, there are 7 elements I have defined here, but remember how I put this the parentheses at the between to enclose them. This is a curly brace. Curly brace means this is a set. A set in Python means is an ordered collection and no duplicates. It does allow duplicates to be entered, but it ignores them. So when I put 2 5s in there, it's going to throw away 1 5. As a result of that, the length of this collection will be 6. Although you have passed 7 items, the extra 5 will be dropped. This is a very important property. It will not throw a syntax error. It will accept it, but it will simply put only 6 elements and not 7 elements. Very important property. Keep it in mind, otherwise you may introduce few bugs. Question number 8. What will be the output of the following? My list is this, and then my list. Pause the screen and unpause when you're ready for the answer. It will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why? Because remember, I put curly braces, which means a set. A set is an ordered collection. So even though I entered 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, is going to display it and store it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And even though entered, if I want to store it in a reverse manner, I have to do something called .reverse to store it in a reverse manner. So this is a very important thing. Just because I entered an unique and ordered set of collections, Python is going to interpret it and store it also as ordered collection, but in an ascending order, not descending order. In the previous question, you declared a set called myList. You want to reference the third element of the collection. How do you address it? MyList or mylist3. Just to to refresh your memory, I'm going to show you this thing. So my list, I just put, instead of the uh, curly braces, I just put square brackets to make it a list. And I want to add the third element of the collection. I am declaring a set called my list. Here is the thing. I can't do it. The moment I put a set, once again I go back here, let me see. Curly brace is a set. The moment I define something as a curly brace, I cannot reference the columns in 2, 3, etc. I have to address it as a third element. I have to address it as using complete set or as a specific key value pair. And that otherwise it will throw an error. If you want to reference by index, use a list or a tuple. So this list is not for everything. It's important to have as a set. A set is good for set operations, but if you want to reference by a specific element in there, it's not going to be useful. Is use a list operation. You want to declare a tuple which has only one string value, that is Saturday. So this is how you write it. Remember, only one string value, Saturday. Will it work? Pause the screen and unpause when you're ready for the answer. It will not. It will merely create the character string variable called Saturday, not a tuple variable. To create a tuple variable, you have to use this funny syntax, I would say. Just one variable, comma, and then leave nothing after that. So this is how you do it. You create a tuple variable. Use just one element. Question number 11. You want to create a collection of weekdays. Since the weekdays don't change, they will remain the same. You create a tuple, which is nothing but a read only, right? You know that. So this is how you create them as a tuple, as you saw below. So you can create them tuple thing: days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, etc. Then you suddenly discover that oops, I forgot to include Thursday. I'm sorry, include for Saturday here. Since this is a tuple, I can't use append, right? In this case, what's going to happen? So then I must drop and recreate that variable. Actually, nothing called drop variable. I have to redefine the variable, or I can, because I've used it a lot of places. So I don't want to just drop and recreate it or recreate that at all. I want to leave it like that. This is how you do it. Just because a tuple is not updatable doesn't mean that you can assign something to the tuple. So here is an example. I created another tuple called Saturday right here with just one value. Then I added that Saturday to this tuple. So even though you cannot modify a tuple, you can add or subtract value, one tuple from another tuple. You can do that. So that's the advantage of using tuple. So at this point, if you display the tuple, you will get this thing as example thing. You have that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and you can get that Saturday as well. So that's it. That's a quiz. Hopefully you answered all the questions correctly, and that's the end of the discussion on collections in Python. Hope you enjoyed it. Next, we talk about something very interesting called creating exceptions in PLSQL. How to create exceptions in Python, and how to create functions.